Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Don't see what's yours for the taking tonight. Ooh, show me your soul, baby. I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Can't you see it's way past time? How explicit do I have to be? And then I spell it out before you get it, baby. Show me your soul, and honey, I'll show you. I'll show you.
Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Louise Jefferson. Not really. Lauren Michaels Harris, sounding like Louise Jefferson. George! Anyway, welcome to today's installment. It is the 23rd day of March, and why do I sound like this? I can tell you why. I don't know. Well, I have all this chest congestion, so I got some Robitussin this morning. I got all the way to the health club and drug myself onto the treadmill. It's cardio day. I wasn't 5 minutes into it. I was like, I cannot do it. I don't have the energy. So I walked myself back to the car, went to the grocery store, got the Robitussin stuff, and came on home. And you know what's interesting? Tell me in the comments if you've ever experienced this. This used to happen to me all the time. Like if I had a big music gig, something where I had a big solo, or was in the studio recording, you know, because was when I was recording that album, you know, it was out of state. So, you know, you build up a lot of, you know, it takes months. And the day finally, the weekend comes, you got to record. And it would always happen where I would just develop this chest thing. And I don't know. I think, you know, all of you woo-wooers, I think it has a lot to do with holding stuff. You know, so anyway, all of you that have those gifts of the spirit, as far as energy healing and things like that, Reiki and all the other woo-woo isms, I'd appreciate if you could send me something, some light, some energy, some love, some encouragement. That's why it's called, this show this year is, our theme is show me your soul and I'll show you mine. So I'm showing it. There it is. I am tired. I just feel like I have no energy. I have an 11 o'clock coaching call today, and then a 6 o'clock coaching call and demo night for the network. And I'm sleeping in between every one of those. That's all I'm going to do is going to rest, lay it down, lay it down. So thank you for your support. Welcome again to Bathrobe Moments. See a lot of you are coming in. We got a great guest today. And let me tell you, is there anything else I want to talk about? I didn't even check what was in the news. I didn't have the energy to Google it. So if I happen to nod out, if any of you has a bell of purpose handy, ring it and wake my ass up. Okay? Because I'm just saying. That's the bell of purpose. What that means is when you hear that bell ring, it's all of our opportunity to be a part of something greater than ourselves. It means that somebody put something in the comments, or I might have slept talked, slept, slopped. Anyway, I may have said something, or our guest, that is just worthy of another walk around, you know, some golden nuggets that we might miss if we don't remind each other to pick it up and take it home with us. So when you hear that bell, that means get with it. Also, it's a great time to pay it forward, be of service to someone else. And that means call a friend, phone a friend, send a raven, share the broadcast, invite someone to join us over here today for some great content. Okay. And also at this point is where we welcome to the show, as always, my sidekick, 4 years running. She's my version of Ed McMahon, if you will. This is Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. And today we are on double chocolate, back to double chocolate. I don't even have energy to drink this coffee. Lord have mercy. So anyway, that's it. What's in your cup today, right? Put it in the comments. I want to know what you're drinking all, right? So anyway, good morning to all you beautiful people. Let me say some shout outs real quick. Of course, we have our top fans that are always here. Sherry McQueen. Hello, Stacy Spencer. Amber Lee. Oh, thank you, girl. Amber Lee says that intro, though, I love it. Don't you love it? Thank you so much. Come back every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central, and you can hear it. Cecilia Faye Morris. Oh, I see the aliens returned you to Earth. Good to have you back, Cecilia Faye. I missed you at Slam the Hammer last Saturday. We'll be reconvening a week from this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. Central. It's a free mastermind. Head over to the Facebook page, Slam the Hammer, a free mastermind, and join us if you would like to, where we uplift and grow our brands and businesses as a group, right? Completely free. Dennis Fitzgerald says, good morning to everyone. Good morning. Oh, Denny, not Dennis. That's a girl. Denny Fitzgerald. My bad, girl. Yeah, Cecilia Faye Morris. Good morning. Says, I got that morning voice. I got something. Yes, Sherry, I'm okay. Thank you. Oh, Ray Coates. Ray, aren't you here tomorrow? Yes, Ray Coates will be here tomorrow. We'll tell you more about that at the end of the broadcast. Send me that energy, Cecilia, praying from Boulder, Colorado. Wendy Meyer, long time no see. Miss your face, sister. I'm glad to have you here. My bestie, Robert Brooker's in the house, says good morning to everybody. And there we have it. So here, we're here together, fulfilling the promise of the Creator yet again, where two or more of us come together. The promise isn't that something could, might, or should happen. The promise is that it will happen. So let's get started fulfilling that. Who we have today? We have with us L. Patrick Dickerson. I met him a few years back. He showed up at Power of We Symposium, and we've been close pals ever since. So honored to have him in my life. A little bit about him. He's the oldest of 4 children, was born out of wedlock. Who was it? Thank you. Now this is interesting. The first 3 to 5 years of his life, much of that time he spent being passed around to different relatives as his arrival wasn't convenient for most. We'll talk about that. That's interesting. And at birth, his name was, this is a good one, Leonard Patrick McCracken. Leonard Patrick McCracken. There's a lot of McCracken jokes. I remember the one from Bart Simpson. Remember, he would call places, the diner and stuff, or the airport, and have them page Phil McCracken. Oh, excuse me. That was a good one. Anyway, I'm skipping around on this bio. Patrick's been married for 25 years. He has a son and 3 daughters. He says that his success is due mostly to his need to answer the question, what is possible? Okay, it's one of the many perspectives that has contributed to his professional success. Ooh, this chest, y'all. Oh, I just spoke in tongues. In 2005, Patrick was originally diagnosed with multiple sclerosis after dealing with episodes of vertigo and exhaustion, and a whole bunch of significant medical testing. Skipping down, during all these different things, I'm going to let him fill it in for you. He often contemplated suicide. Raise your hand, right? Many of us have been there, tried that. Thank God we didn't succeed. Anyway, he's got a lot to tell us today. And for once, y'all ain't gonna have to worry about me butting in and all that, because I'm trying to rest this voice. I can't believe it. I have to record this masterclass series day after tomorrow. And something tells me to not postpone it, to just have faith and move forward and watch what God can do. So that's what I'm going to do. If Thursday morning I wake up sounding like Louise Jefferson, I'm just going to open up masterclass by singing, and we're moving on up. That's what I'm going to do. So pray for me, y'all, would you please? Listen, I don't want to waste any more of your valuable time. So we're just going to get him in here, you guys, in bathrobe fashion. You know how we do it. Put your hearts into it. Put your hearts on the screen. And let's welcome our soul sharer for today, L. Patrick Dickerson. Here he comes. Hi, Pat L. I don't know if I still get caught up. If I should say, it feels weird. When did you get braces?
Well, that's a whole nother thing. I guess I got them probably shortly after coming up to the Next Impactor competition.
You did?
Yeah, I guess supposedly my teeth are going to fall out, but now I believe that's just part of that whole medical, how one person scratches another back. I think my teeth were probably fine, but now that they're on,
that's why they put them on?
Well, that's what they say, but I've learned that people in the whole, medicine's a business just like anything else. And always be closing the ABCs of business when it comes to people selling stuff. But yeah, I've got to look at a number of medical voices.
I did not know. I wish I'd have known, because I would have had a whole bunch of braces jokes ready. I had them back in my 20s, and boy, did you chew up all your inside lip when you first got them on?
Oh, I'm still doing stuff like that, and yeah, it's not good for playing rugby, that's for sure.
Well, you can always
or anything else
now. When they come off, you'll have a movie star smile.
Yeah, for my coffin, maybe.
Oh, would you stop? Quit playing. Now, we're not even going to receive that. Now, listen, I want you to say hello to everybody. Tell them where you're at in the world. We're looking right outside there. It looks beautiful, very rustic. Tell us where you are. I know you're not at home right now. You're on the road. But tell us where you are, who you are, And what's your purpose? I heard you on Clubhouse talking about that. I think it was last night. So I thought that'd be a great way to open the show. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, so today I'm in, I'm probably about 10, 15 miles from Newberry, South Carolina, which is out in there's hardly much around here. But I was hauling a vehicle from Greenville, where I live, down to the coast, where we have a friend that's a mechanic, and I had a castle nut come off an axle, which is a good way of saying if you don't pull over and stop immediately, you could end up with one of those major accidents you see on the interstate. I didn't want to be a part of that. So I'm at a friend's who happened to be coming up to this home he's been restoring, and all goes well. I'll put those tires back on those new brake drum assemblies, and I'll haul that vehicle down to the coast, and I'll head back home tonight, which, that's where I am. My purpose, as you kind of alluded to, Lauren, I've, and maybe what wasn't said, and those who know me know that my multiple sclerosis diagnosis has really kind of gotten the better part of me over the past couple of years. Specifically, I went through almost 2 years of an experimental chemotherapy treatment that really took me down.
Wait a minute. Okay, right there, because I keep hearing it and I kept reading it and I just did not know. So multiple sclerosis, I didn't know they treated that with radiation.
So that radiation is different than chemotherapy. Radiation is something that is used in conjunction with chemotherapy to treat cancer. This is a special formula designed to kill the immune system. And so for those 2 years that you might have seen me at Power of We or the Next Global Impactor or any of those things, or Unstoppable, my neurologist would say, well, when you don't have an immune system, then I was told the common cold could kill me within 4 to 6 weeks. But I also have this belief that we got to live, and living is not sitting in a room taking a bunch of pills in a recliner. And that's not how I want to spend the rest of my days. I'd rather, go out with a bang. That whole adage of better to burn out than to fade away. So yeah, I'm going to live whatever capacity I have. I'm going to live it to my fullest. And if that's a limited capacity, then I may not be as bright of a star as I was in the past, but I'm going to be as bright as I can with what I have.
I hear you. A great attitude and mindset is everything. I want to, let's go here. In your bio, you say, I'm going to read this short paragraph where you say the year 2018 consisted mostly of medical testing and the decision for Patrick, for yourself, to receive an experimental form of chemotherapy specifically designed for MS. 4 treatments over a 2-year period proved to be a horrific experience that impacted your body, mind, soul, and spirit. These became some of the darkest periods of your life, you say. With each infusion therapy treatment, you struggled to recover. By the middle of 2020, it was your personal decision to discontinue the experimental treatments. I really want to focus on the line that says a horrific experience that impacted body. We get that. Mind, we get that. But when you say soul and then spirit, talk about those two. How it impacted them individually. And a lot of people think that soul and spirit are the same thing, but you have them designated as 2 separate places, or I guess we could call it that. So talk about that, if you would. Tell us what you meant when you wrote that.
So for me, my soul is that inner and more the emotional side. I believe our spirit transcends emotion, and yet our soul, and I also throw into that, Lauren, that the spirit side includes our belief, our communication with God, where I believe the soul is more our communication with self. And during those moments, I mean, especially the weeks following these treatments, I'd be in bed. I didn't want to get up and going to the bathroom was just like torture. Eating a meal was like torture. Everything was like,
what does that mean? Okay, because that's a nice little word to put
it
on
hurts,
top.
yeah. Well, when your body is in pain, no matter what you do, and my body was in so much pain that even trying to go to sleep, I could take pain pills, but it's like the pain pills would numb the pain. They would cloud my mind, but I still felt the pain. I still knew it was there. Breathing was labored. So we have an involuntary breath, and I had, this, but if I thought about it, I felt like I couldn't get enough oxygen. And I was fine. These were all just sensations, and they were part of the side effects that I was going through. And so I would go to bed almost every night and say, God, please just take me in my sleep. I don't want to live anymore. I couldn't read. What would happen is these things would cloud my mind. The medication would, and I could read individual words, but I couldn't put 5 words together to read a sentence. And that was scary. As someone who used to teach people for a living, not being able to, how can I teach when I can't even read? And I was very discouraged by this. My body would be in pain. I'd go to bed and say, God, please take my life in my sleep. And if I wake up the next day, then there's a reason beyond my understanding. And I'd wake up and I'd my first cognitive breath. I'd say, okay, God, help me understand, help me see why I'm still here. And the inner voice that I got was one of, you're on a journey, and what you need to know will not be revealed until you've traveled this journey. So I surrendered. My word of the year for 2019 was surrender, and it was the power of surrender. And in that power of surrender, it is surrendering to that which we don't have the capacity to know. It doesn't serve me to wonder why I'm still alive, when what I need to know, which would reveal that answer, might be months or years down the road. And so I feel like I've grown in a lot of ways since then.
Absolutely. So let's stop on this one for a second. The power of surrender. Talk about that. What did that, when you?
Yeah, so it's surrendering to anything that doesn't serve me. I had a career a little over 25 years where I'm running a business, and I have 80 to 120 employees. We're doing annual revenues of 4 to 5 million a year. And some weeks it's a 80 to 90 hour work week. And work week could be, you might be sitting at home in your chair, but your mind is running, you're typing on your devices, but I couldn't, I struggled to do the things that used to come to me naturally. And that was kind of an indication that something was wrong. And so, I used to teach people how to develop individual development plans and business plans, and I couldn't even do one myself. And so that's what kind of was the tipping point to begin to go to the doctors. But the power of surrender was okay, I can't do this, so I need to surrender to it. The things that no longer served me, the what can I do, was really my focus. And if I can't do, what can I be? And so what I chose was I got to a point where I just said, well, how do I want to be in this moment? If I'm going to be miserable, I think of Viktor Frankl sitting in those concentration camps in Nazi Germany. And I'm thinking, we all of us have something that we go through. All of us hurt. Everybody. I don't know a single person that doesn't have a struggle. And so this has gifted me with a perspective of understanding struggle, of understanding pain, of understanding, and even us, Lauren, it's even a surrendering to having to understand. What I've learned is how to be with. I'd studied being present. Otto Scharmer leads the Presencing Institute at MIT's Sloan School of Business. I've been involved in their programs. I understood a lot of that academically, energetically. It's like, not only do I understand it, I feel it. There's a sense of knowing that transcends even this feeling. So that's the spirit side of it, and we all like to define God with whatever the stories were. You know, our beliefs are drive our behaviors, but our beliefs come from the stories that we've learned in life. And
Right.
what I've learned, yeah. So surrendering to somebody else's opinion, you know, when we're in pain, we're less tolerant of ourselves and others.
Yeah.
And I've always been a giver, and I had to reconcile it with surrendering to being the nice guy or perceived as. I believe in kindness, but I love what Brene Brown says, that sometimes it's not very kind to be nice. When I heard her say that, it was an aha moment. It's like those people that, you know, they're friendly to your face, but they really, their heart's not with you.
Right.
And so rejection, I think rejection is a gift of clarity. And I had thousands of people in my contact list, and I was constantly answering the phone because I had high performance in business. People wanted to know, you know, and I was willing to help out and give. When things started going south for me, I mean, it was crickets. And,
Mm.
you know, and it wasn't that people were all, we all live such busy lives. And I was tempted early on to believe nobody cares. Woe is me. But I've never been a pity myself kind of person. Like
It's
I
hard
don't
for
want,
people.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard for people sometimes when someone is going through, say, a terminal illness or something like that, a big medical scare. Um,
hmm,
there is. It's just, you know, it's almost like the same thing that makes people slow down at an accident site.
right, right,
With that, you know, ooh, that's what happens to other people, or when they stand across the street and watch a burning building, that sort of mindset. But when back to the surrender thing, because I, you know, last year I had a huge medical scare,
yeah,
that lasted in kind of in a way, you know, I could still be dealing with it like I did then, where I just hated it when the phone, I would see that it was them calling, one of the doctors or something. It took me weeks to get to the point where I would pick it up on the first time they called, because I
right.
just was afraid of what they were going to say. If I answer this, could the conversation change my life in the blink of an eye? Could this be the last moment that I sit here like this? Um, and it is a difficult thing to do. But I think I know that I must have done it, because, you know, now if I hadn't, every little thing, like right now dealing with this, and I've been dealing with this respiratory thing since I was a baby. I have a thing
Right.
called genetic digital clubbing. That's why my fingers look like that. I was a preemie, and so the lungs developed, you know, didn't develop it completely. And they told me that when I got older, I would either have kidney issues, which I don't, thank God, or respiratory. And so it is the respiratory thing. And but you know, last year this time, anytime any little thing happened, it could be a headache, could be a hangnail, could, you know, any old thing. Um, and I'd think, uh-oh, is that the Heavenly Choir warming up for an A and B selection? You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah,
finally, when I surrendered, I told him, put your sheet music away. You know what I mean? Call off the rehearsal. The upper room will have to wait for now. And
yeah.
so I get it. I get it. But what was different? What was the first thing, if you could pinpoint it, that you knew without a doubt was different post surrender? What was the main thing
So,
it provided?
so yeah. So what happened is it's kind of like, you know, that refining fire. You know, the
Mm,
things that are screaming at us in life, the urgent. Well, this is the way most of us live. We live a life of reaction instead of focusing on the important. And the important is what's really what should be our priority. And so, you know, when you can hardly do anything, you become less valuable to others, or at least you're perceived that way. And so, in my loneliness, in my solitude, I also got a lot of peace and a lot of time to think about things. And I, you know, there's a celebrity, Montel Williams, that has um, this one of, you know, this quote that what I do is I collect things that strengthen me. What do I need to be reminded of? And he has a quote, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have." And
That's a
that's
good
where I
one.
was. Yeah. When being strong is the only choice you have, you learn things about yourself.
And you know, he went
I,
through a
yeah.
scare. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Remember he
Well,
had a stroke.
he's got multiple sclerosis too.
Oh, he
So
does?
yeah, he's got MS. So
Hmm.
you know, and I remember listening to him talk about things. He always had such passion when I'd see him
Yeah. Love
being
Montreal.
interviewed. And but this was long before I even you know, I had heard of MS, but when do you think it's you? You always think that's somebody else.
That's what I'm talking
And
about. The slowing
yeah,
down and looking at all the tragedy. You always
yeah,
think that's what happens to someone else
yeah,
until it rings
yeah.
your doorbell.
Well, and so what I also know, Lauren, is that I've been told by so many medical experts what I can't do.
Mm.
And I've never been a good student of the word can't. You want to get me excited, tell me what's impossible. And Walt
There you
Disney
go.
said Walt Disney, my favorite quote from him is, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible." And that's, what if we're aiming for the stars, we're at least going to hit the moon,
All right.
but if we don't even aim, if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. And
Right.
so, for me, that's where measurement, within business, that was the thing that I did with each individual, whether it's a brand new high school student just working a day or two a week. It's, what are we going to focus on? What does your best look like? How do you see yourself being of value? And how will you measure that? And I don't want to go around measuring everybody. So my successes in business were more centered in having real life conversations about individual potential and how would somebody feel themselves, and then find what is something that you see somebody else, a coworker, colleague, somebody in your same space doing well that you value. And then what's an idea for improvement? And so this has been not only a workplace perspective, it's been a lifestyle perspective for myself. When I can start looking at you, Lauren, and say, what do you do well? What I would tell you is you inspire others. And when I focus on what you can do well, and if you want to know what you can do to improve, I could probably come up with something. But what I really love is when we start finding value in others and then we share why that's valuable to us, everything shifts. And all of a sudden, whatever we thought was wrong or we could be improved. See, improvement's not always something wrong. It might be a creative idea that somebody has. It might be a breakthrough idea, and those
Taking
things have
great to
their value.
greater.
Yes, yes.
Right.
But when if we see ourselves as a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But what if we see ourselves as an advocate for anybody? For what are the needs in the world? That's why I love you and Jason Cisneros and all those people that I've come to know about easing suffering in the world. My heroes are Kat Dawn and January Riggin and Pastor Rudy and people like that, and Lauren Michaels Harris. Y'all are my heroes,
Oh,
and
and vice
because
versa.
because of what you're doing in the world matters.
I agree. I agree.
And you still get to be human. That's what I love. And surrendering to that. We talk about the power of surrendering to what somebody else expects of me,
yeah,
and being my best. And so it's an inner knowing. It's like you just gotta, there's a peace in surrendering to what other people think. And
it is. You know what I
there's power
surrendered
in that.
first that changed my life? I
Tell me.
surrendered my filter.
Yeah.
Because they make it sound like it's a negative thing. Oh, anything comes out of his mouth, he doesn't have a filter. Well,
Yeah.
a filter, like when I do my juicing, okay? When I do my juicing, I put the cheesecloth over the thing and to get all that stuff that I don't want to drink off, like the foam on a root beer, the sludge, if you will. And I needed a filter when I didn't have control over what I was letting in, and I didn't give a crap about what I was sending out. That's when you need a filter, because a filter creates a version. It changes the original into the version. But what I found out was, when I surrendered, was I didn't need a filter, because there was no sludge, no bathtub ring. It wasn't like coffee grounds were left from purpose. The truth is as clean as it gets. It's mountain fresh water. Bye, honey. Have a good day. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't any impurity in it. There weren't any additives, anything processed, stuff like that. It was as pure and natural as it can get, because the truth is the only thing in the universe that never changes. And it is the only thing in the universe that will never change on us. So I removed the filter, because I believe that our content, our story comes to us on its way through us. We're a whistle stop. So I want to ask you this, and then I'm going to wait and do the commercial break till 1:45, because I love what's going on in here. I love the vibe. Put your comments into the comment section, and we have some I'm going to address when we come back from commercial. But for now, I wanted to talk about, when you get a diagnosis, and as we all get older, we realize, you don't really realize, like you were saying, I don't know exactly how you put it, but that somebody, it was a quote you just had about, you don't know until you have to, or what was that?
Yeah, it was the quote by Montel Williams, and just so that I
that one.
You never know how strong you are. So you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have.
That's it. If that ain't the truth, I had always prided myself on, I didn't even catch colds, nothing. And everybody told you never get sick, blah, blah, blah. And then I skipped all over that stuff and went straight to the MRI and CAT scan thing, and it scared the shit out of me. I'm just gonna keep it real, because what shocked me about myself that I did not know was that I had an innate fear that something was going to stop me, that everything I'm living is too good to be true. See, that's what's always happened. It looks like a carrot is dangling, and at the last second, something up there thinks it's funny to snatch it away, because that's the grooming process that the enemy has used on me since I was just a little boy. But then, and I watch you, and I really want to talk to this point, is like when we were together, when we were I think it was Impactor. We were taking down the Giant X. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Up the ladder. And I did not even know at that time all that you were dealing with, and no one would have ever known. And what do you think it is when a person has a diagnosis, or is inside of that, the jury's out moment, when they don't know if they do or don't, where you can either go the way you did, or you can lay down and say, okay, and just give up. And that is something I think we need to consider, which fork in the road we want to go down if something like that should ever ring our doorbell. Because when you're in the moment, I realized when it happened, oh my goodness, how come I'm not prepared for this? How come I never talked with myself or with my creator about, should this ever happen? If you ever decide I need to go through a medical thing or whatever, I want to make sure that I'm able to use it like I'm using everything that comes to me from you when things are great. It was a totally different me that was standing in front of me, just like that. I walked in the office for one thing, they told me something else. I walked out like a zombie. And it wasn't easy to push everything I thought I had to the surface so that I could use it. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't. I know
do.
It's all
No, I do. Because here's what I hear you saying, Lauren, is, and it's like we all expect God to speak to us audibly in words. But here's what I think: God doesn't use words. I mean, he might. He uses experiences.
Yes.
Exactly. And when we go and read even the scriptures about where is God found? in the gentle breeze, in the soft rain, in the quiet spaces. And it's not when I'm screaming, where are my answers? It's when I be still that I know who God is. And
This is true. And sometimes we need to sit that ass down.
Yeah.
And nothing in the world can make us do that. So something other than, greater than, will do it for us, because he has our best interest at heart all the time, not a shared custody agreement. And so let me ask you, when you look like you're a pretty fit person, it's clear that you are an active kind of guy. So when you got your diagnosis, did you go through this where any little thing, you wake up, you got a headache, could have been just from that glass of wine or whatever. And did I would always go, oh, what's that? Is this, because I used to joke about things. I wake up and couldn't remember something. Go, oh, is that one of my old person things, coming to visit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes you think they're going to come and go home, and they come and move in. And your life is never the same. It happens every day to people.
Yeah.
So did you live in fear of any little thing that did not feel like it always had felt? Did you think, oh, this is some of that? Or is this something else? Because between that and what they're telling you at these appointments, because I'm telling you, you're right. It's a big cottage industry. Nothing but, here, let me refer you over here. Take this and take this pill now. Oh, your cholesterol went up. Oh, we'll take this to balance that. Oh, your blood pressure went up. Now take this to.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the things that helped me out was I'd had a melanoma in my early 20s. And unlike most cancers, a melanoma is a radical form of cancer. So once you've had it, it can reappear anywhere. So the MRIs that revealed spots on my brain, the greater concern, the initial concern was those are spots of brain cancer. And if they're not brain cancer, then they're most likely mini aneurysms. You're right about, you're at the onset. We need to make sure that you're not about to have a major stroke or a major aneurysm. And so MS is not a fun or pleasant thing to have, but it's a whole lot better than brain cancer or having an aneurysm or a stroke. So, for me, it was definitely a wake up call. And when you talk about I look fit, well, that's great. But how many people have what are called invisible diseases or invisible, to the common, and one of the most discouraging things that I hear from people, and I have to filter everything with one's intentions. Well, you look great. I want to tell somebody to fuck off, because when you feel like I do on some days, and because I don't want to be seen, Lauren, as the guy with MS, not because I'm ashamed of it or anything, but I want to live to my fullest. Why was on that ladder? Because that's living, and I was and that's why I believe that, yes, we might have physical impairments, we might have things, but we have this opportunity to put ourselves in the presence of the people that cause our souls to come alive.
Yeah.
And that's what your event was. I wasn't there to see who won. I was there because that's my family. Those were the people that I got to know. And, Danny Torres, you want to talk about unfiltered, but you want to talk about somebody who I love deep in my heart. It's like a resonance with him. And, a funny incident when I'm sitting here at, in Atlanta at the MS Center of Atlanta, talking to my neurologist. My wife is sitting there, and she's got a whole list of things that she's noted that she wants to share with him. And I remember her saying, most of his life, he's hardly ever used any foul language, but lately he's just sounds like a sailor. Every other word's some kind of profanity. And my neurologist, I think she was thinking that he was going to say, something like, well, son, you should really correct that about yourself. And he looks at her and says, well, he's in constant pain. And there's there's an emotional relief that one experiences from using profanity. And there's actually a word, it's lalokesia. Lalokesia, it's why saying shit feels better than saying sugar. It is the emotional relief one experiences from using profanity. Now, that I'm not advocating everybody go out
Well,
there
but
and
it's
start
good to
using
know.
profanity. No,
Damn
I'm not
skippy.
advocating that. Yeah, because you want to be careful. You say certain things in the wrong places.
Right.
You know, there's a consequence. But I go back to, you know, that quote, when being strong is the only option. You know, sometimes, I mean, yeah, for me, just to walk up a flight of stairs, some days that's tough. And I can't tell you why my certain joints would hurt or muscles might hurt one day and not another. I mean, that's just part of having multiple sclerosis. That's part of having this, you know, what's happening between my brain and my body. But what I do know is when I'm around people that I love and they love me and I feel it, then yes, I can climb ladders just like I was whole, full, and healthy. And I
Do
can,
you
so I'm,
believe?
yeah, go ahead.
Do you believe that the power of the law of attraction, the power of the law of attraction brings healing through others just from being in
Yeah.
close proximity to their
So, yeah.
frequency?
Well, you put up here the setting of intentions, but that's exactly what you know, my thoughts are. I'm very intentional to put myself in spaces where I'm with people that either they encourage me and or they inspire me. You know, there are a lot of people in my life that don't even realize how much I look up to them. I remember watching Christopher Kaysen, and he was such a bright light at times where I started to doubt. I was like, do I have autism? Maybe, you know, it's because things would bother me, sounds would bother me, lights would bother me. I'd go into certain grocery stores and I just had to leave. And I doubted so much about myself. And when you're hungry and thirsty and you go into a space and it's like, even though you're hungry and you're thirsty, you need to leave. When that, you just sense things about you, and to watch him persevere. But I would sit there and watch him do his art. I'd watch him on his Facebook lives, and I'd watch him all throughout that competition. And he was such a bright light in my life. And
I know.
he's one of my heroes.
Right. I get it. I
And
absolutely get it. Robert Brooker is one of those people.
oh, Robert Brooker, I will tell you, he is another. Absolutely. I mean, there are times where I've just had to get on the phone and talk to him, and
Mhm.
I feel like he has talked me off of many a ledge.
Mhm.
And he doesn't realize. I make up that Christopher and Robert and so many others, and I challenge everybody that's listening or might listen. You never know how much of a blessing you might be in this moment to somebody else that you don't even
Right.
know about. So be at your best. Do it for you. Don't do it for others.
Do it for
And
yourself.
do it for yourself. But
Right.
yeah.
Now we're gonna do one commercial instead of two today because it's just too good and juicy up in here. And when we return from this brief commercial break, I want to address or have you speak to what it feels like when we come to that intersection of choice, the acceptance that our purpose in this world is now to speak through a lens of illness or a lens of loss of a loved one or the lens of your business going down, something that is not unicorns and rainbows, but it is in alignment with our purpose, because we're not all chosen to be Frank Sinatra, Mariah Carey, Oprah Winfrey. We're chosen to do what we agreed, our covenant, I believe, before we even came here, to execute our mission, plus what our soul needs and requires to evolve. So when we come back, because before the MS, purpose meant one thing. It's like you look through a kaleidoscope and, oh, look at all the pretty shapes and stuff. And then the news comes, and then you pick up the same kaleidoscope and all of the patterns are completely different. The colors of the stones are completely different, but the purpose of the picture is greater. We're going to talk about it more with L. Patrick Dickerson as we show our souls to each other here today on Bathrobe Moments in just a moment. Stay put. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'm kidding. And we're back. Thank you for staying put. And we're here with L. Patrick Dickerson today. Patrick, before we went to break, I asked you what it felt like after the diagnosis. I mean, because I can only imagine, but I kind of dress rehearsed, if you will, that myself last year during my health care, because I was like, well, shit, of all the rotten luck, just when things are getting good in my journey, which made me then start looking into my pocket of gratitude. And, I had to realize that things got good the moment I came here. That's when they got good. And it was up to me to take good and make it better. So that kind of helped. But I want to know from your perspective, how does it feel when and how long did it take, if it has happened yet, for you to accept, to lay this new transparency on top of everything you had grown into becoming? This is now a part of it too, in order to grow to where you are going. So was that a struggle? Did you take it freely, or did it have to sit down and ease its way into acceptance with you? How did that work?
Yeah, I think for me, Lauren, it was more of a, that slap in the face. And one of my prayers was throughout my life has been, hey, God, if there's something that you want me to know, you're going to have to make it real clear, because I'm a slow learner. I was never, I received a lot of compliments from people, but the facts are I didn't do well in school. And whatever the reasons might be, I mean, you want me to do well, do something that piques my interest. What I hear you talking about, Lauren, is certainty. And that is the thing that, the power of surrender that I talk about from 2019. 2020, I left that. 2020 was a year of exploration for me. And it was also a year of welcome to my world, because, every time I traveled, you might have saw both in Atlanta and Chicago, I had this little black Coach shoulder bag purse. And in there was Purell wipes, sprays, all kinds of stuff. Because again, if I caught a common cold, I could be dead. And in fact, my doctors are like, don't travel, don't this. And my wife just said, she laughed and she just said, he's not going to listen. And, so I have a supply. I've had a supply inside N95 masks. I didn't really ever wear them, but it was kind of like, if I got to go out, I want to be certain of certain things. And that was what I had to surrender to. But when you surrender to things, other things emerge. And that's that purpose. When you're stripped away, you find out that, and listening, by listening to what people are saying, what is the question behind the question? And, when you face death, and I thought there were days where I wasn't going to wake up, and I would. There are days where I wanted to end my own life and I didn't. And it was like, you know what? I'm not afraid of dying. I don't care. I will step into places that it just doesn't matter. And I'm going to do life with whoever I want. Your microphone's muted, Lauren. But you know, you've met Patrick Dickerson, and when I think of Chicago, I think of Sandy Loncar, I think of Patrick Dickerson, and you know, people in my lives that are also encouragements. And it's like these are powerful people that are doing their own thing, their own way, and they're certain about. We are all certain about, and if you're not certain, I think you are. I think everybody deep inside. I don't think people change and become something else. I think we become more of who God made us all along, and we strip away. You got your microphone muted. You do, Lauren. So anyway, when we strip away those things, those limiting beliefs, those perspectives that others are holding for us, but they don't really serve us. You know, these are those things that help us discover our purpose. And see, the thing about, we don't have to fully understand our purpose. I don't believe we discover our purpose when we are purposeful. And I heard a message from a old black pastor named Reverend Al Lewis Patterson from Texas. And the title of his message, you can Google this and you can find it on YouTube, is Shamgar. And he takes from one passage, tells this story about this character named Shamgar, who God honored by just mentioning his name. But Shamgar did two things. He started where he was, because you can't start where you're not. He used what he had, because you can't use what you don't have. And he did what he can, because you can't do what you can't do.
Right.
But in life, if we start where we are, use what we have, and do what we can with what we have, then we'll have some kind of progression. We'll have some kind of experience. Everything fits into three buckets of that which I can control, that which I can influence, and neither. Most of us spend most of our time focusing on the neither. If we spend 80 to 90% of our time on the things we can control, 10 to 20% on the things we can influence, and 0% on that which we can neither control and neither influence, we will experience some kind of progress. We will have a fulfilling life, and we will live a life of purpose. And so it's a matter of just being trusting that whatever you're doing, wherever you are in life, you know, and I go back to Viktor Frankl, I don't think he planned, hey, someday the Nazis are going to take over, throw me in these prisons. But it was his story and his book, Man's Search for Meaning. You know, this story has touched how many millions of people's lives. Yet it was him being fully himself in the worst of times that actually has provided so much clarity for himself and others. And it's how he developed his logotherapy, this being perspective of being at one's best, knowing one's best and being one's best. And you know what? Our best is different. Somebody with Down syndrome, I love these people. They're so delightful. You know, they do their best in almost all occasions.
True.
And if we could all be like a child. See, as a child, I love that 5, 6, 7-year-old child, because even then you don't know what hell's going on. You're optimistic.
Right.
But life gives us rules. You know, we go to school and they give us rules, and they start to smother all this creative genius that God gave us. And so these periods of adversity help strip away the false beliefs. And if we'll step into them, and it's not around it, avoiding, it's going through. Life's happening for me, not to me. But for me to benefit from that, I have to embrace and immerse myself. And it's like Winston Churchill says, if you're going through hell, keep going.
That's right.
Don't stop.
Listen, we've got 1 minute left.
Yeah.
I just flew by. And I want you to, in 10 words or less, tell people what you consider to be your greatest gift so far within this journey.
Acceptance of self.
Acceptance of self.
Yep.
Okay. If you guys would like to continue, and I suggest that you do, this conversation, this dialogue with our guest, L. Patrick Dickerson, I want you to simply, you can find him at L. Patrick Dickerson, and go ahead and DM him and get to know him. He's all over Clubhouse. Tell them about the room that you're always in, the gratitude. Where can they find that?
There's a morning gratitude room. on Clubhouse. And yeah, the best way to reach me would be email Patrick at lpatrickdickerson.com.
Put that in the comments when I release you, would you?
Okay.
So
I will
find you quickly.
Yeah, but you can find me on Facebook, Clubhouse. I think Clubhouse, it might be LP Dickerson. And I'm new. I say new. I'm not proficient at Instagram or Twitter or some of these other platforms yet, but we're all doing life together. So
there you go.
Find people that you love and learn to love yourself, because
absolutely
the ability to love myself impacts my ability to love others. Lauren, I do love you, and I thank you so much. You and Brian are such wonderful people, and I'm grateful to know you both. Y'all are a huge blessing, and so thank you for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for coming. You guys, listen, as we get out of here today, take some of this great content with you. Start considering what it's going to take. I remember the moment when God said directly to me on the bat phone, Lauren, the only thing you need to do now is invest as much of your energy and your intention into healing yourself and others as you had recently in the past spent killing yourself. All those things that were of no good. I put a lot of power behind that, a lot of intention behind that for decades. And sometimes we go through things to remind us of the new power or the new way that we wield it. So in the direction of the positive side, not in the direction of the negative side. So I want to thank you for all of what you have shared here today and the example you continue to be every day, L. Patrick Dickerson. Same goes for all of you out there. I commission you now, I challenge you now to get out today and let that be the first day of every day for the rest of your life, to get out and challenge yourself to leave every person and every situation you find yourself in front of just a tad bit better than the way you found it. When you do that, everything begins to come together, the past, the present, and you create that future, which is purpose and destiny. God bless you. Get into the world today and be the blessing you would like to see, be the gift you'd like to receive. I'm Lauren Michaels Harris, and on behalf of L. Patrick Dickerson and everyone else here, we love you and we adore you, we uplift you, and we hope to see you again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central for our next episode with Ray Coates here on Bathrobe Moments. Be blessed, you guys. Bye, Patrick. Thank you so much.
Bye, Lauren. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need a space.